All right, we're on.
Okay. Are you recording?
Yes, we can begin.
Okay, very good. So everyone, I'd like to continue and talk a little bit about building and developing the relationship with our patient or with our employer. And as before, I will ask, that you participate. I hope you will ask questions, think about the things that we're presenting. Hopefully they will be helpful to you in building the relationship with your employer. At the beginning, it's always very difficult. So what does that involve, building a relationship? Several steps. Let's talk a little bit about each one of these steps. Firstly, creating good communication. Second, coordination of expectations. Number 3, building trust. Number 4, creating the caregiving alliance. And number 5, taking into account social and cultural components. So let's see what each one of those steps may involve. Firstly, I want to talk about the fact that, depending on a person's personality traits, not necessarily culture related, we tend to think that there are different types of communication styles. And I want to talk a little bit about those communication styles. So what is the background in this? Every person has a unique communication style, a way in which they interact and exchange information with others. There are 4 basic communication styles that I'm going to talk about. The passive communication style, the aggressive communication style, passive aggressive, and assertive. It's important to understand each communication style and why individuals use them. For example, the assertive communication style has been found to be most effective because it incorporates the best aspects of all the other styles. When we break down these 4 styles, we'll better understand the characteristics of each style, standard phrases, and what makes them unique. So firstly, I'd like to talk about the passive communication style. Passive communicators often display a lack of eye contact, poor body posture, and an inability to say no. Passive communicators also act in a way that states, people never consider my feelings. And passive communicators are also easy to get along with as they follow others and go with the flow. But there's a big but in being a passive communicator. No one really knows what you're thinking and what you're feeling because you're not expressing it. And so it's very frustrating, okay? Obviously, if your employer is very passive and he doesn't respond or talk or, explain or express what he's thinking or feeling, then you're at an impasse how to deal with him, right? How to make him feel comfortable or safe or whatever. So being a passive communicator is very difficult. And it also allows for the opportunity to misunderstand, right? Sometimes if someone says something to us and we don't respond, they may misunderstand for agreeing when we don't agree, for disagreeing when we do agree, right? Or for being shy, not responding. Very difficult to communicate with passive types of people. Okay. Aggressive communication. Okay. The aggressive communication style is emphasized by speaking in a loud, demanding voice, maintaining intense eye contact, and dominating or controlling others by blaming, intimidating, criticizing, threatening, or attacking them, among other traits. Obviously, this is also not a very good communication style because it turns us off. Okay, we're so responding to the way that things are said to us, right? We cringe, we kind of turn away, turn aside, that we don't actually hear what the person is trying to say to us because the way he's saying it is so offensive to us. So being an aggressive communicator is not a very effective way of presenting yourself or trying to understand what a person is trying to present, right? If he's aggressive, blaming, threatening, criticizing, and so on. And then there's the passive aggressive communication style. Passive aggressive communication style users appear passive on the outside, but within he or she may feel powerless or stuck, built up a resentment that leads to seething, acting out in subtle, indirect ways. Most passive aggressive communicators will mutter to themselves rather than confront a person or an issue. They have difficulty acknowledging their anger, use facial expressions that don't correlate with how they feel, and even deny that there is a problem. So passive aggressive communicators are also very difficult to deal with because they send off double messages. They say one thing and mean another. Their body and their face may perhaps smile, but on the inside, they're not agreeing, they're angry. So it's very difficult to understand because, right, because they send off double messages and it's very difficult to understand what it is they need, they want, or are trying to communicate. And the assertive communication style. Assertive communicators can express their own needs and desires, ideas, and feelings while also considering the needs of others. One of the keys to assertive communication is using the I statement, such as I feel frustrated when you are late for a meeting, or I don't like having to explain over and over. It indicates ownership of feeling and behavior without blaming others. We keep repeating how important it is to look a person in the eye and say what I think, okay? I know that in other cultures, this may not be appropriate. It may seem impolite or forward or even being aggressive when you say something, when you look a person in the eye. Some cultures, think this is not respectful. But in Israel, in our culture, it is acceptable, it's desired, okay? And it's important to do so, especially when you have a culture and a language barrier, okay? So it's very important to have good communication. And the best way to do that is to look a person in the eye and try to say what you need, what you understand, and so on, okay? Very important. I'll just sum it up, what we talked about. So there's the passive communication style. The passive communicators are emotionally dishonest, indirect, inhibited, self-denying, blaming, and apologetic. Passive aggressive communicators are emotionally dishonest, indirect, self-denying at first, and self-enhancing at the expense of others later, right? And aggressive communicators are inappropriately honest, indirect, expressive, attacking, blaming, controlling, self-enhancing at the expense of others. And the assertive communicators, the ones that we think are most appropriate and the best way to communicate with people, are appropriately honest, direct, self-enhancing, expressive, self-confident, empathetic to the emotions of all involved. So let's talk about tools for effective communication. Understanding how others communicate can be a key to getting your message across to them. In order to develop effective communication style, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Take ownership and use the I statement. We keep repeating that, okay? Say, I think, I understand, I need, I want. This is very important. Maintain eye contact, right? Look a person in the eye when you're speaking to them. Voice your needs and desires confidently. And don't forget to smile. All right, everyone. Smiling is so important. It goes across all different cultures. And when you smile, you relax and you make the person that you are interacting with also relax. So even though you're tense and you're anxious and you're trying to communicate something or understand everything, exactly. Hey, good for you, ladies. I see you're making a big effort to smile. So when you get up in the morning, you got to smile. You smile for yourself and you smile for your employer, okay? And you go to bed, you do the same thing. You smile for yourself for all the good, hard work you did, and you smile for the employer, okay? That he hopefully had a good day as well with you. Got to smile all the time, as much as possible. I want to tell you, people, that when I was working for many years in a care facility, and if I was interviewing people that came to ask for work with me, if during the hour that I interviewed them, if they didn't smile a lot, I didn't accept them to work. A smile has to be a big part of our toolbox, really. You have to do that. And I want you to know that even if you're not in a good mood and you don't feel like smiling, if you take a pencil and you put it in between your teeth and your face automatically, yes, does that? There are brain things that happen in your face and muscles and endorphins that are released automatically, and you feel better. And then you look in the mirror and you feel silly with a pencil in your mouth. And then you smile again. Exactly. Now you're doing it. Florencio, is that your name? Pua? Absolutely. One of our main tools in life is smiling, no matter where you are, work, home, friends, no matter where. How to deal with aggressive behavior and language. Okay, this is always very difficult, okay? People that are aggressive are very difficult to deal with. It makes us feel uncomfortable, and we sometimes don't even hear what they want to say. So here is a YouTube presentation, and if you encounter this kind of an interaction, then you may find it helpful. And I just want to say that in general, if we're talking about culture in Israel, you'll find that people in Israel are a lot more aggressive, are a lot noisier, are a lot more noisy and aggressive in their interaction with each other. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're fighting. It means that they just have different interacting codes, okay? And so it may seem like they're fighting, but they're talking loudly. Perhaps they're being impolite, pushy, aggressive. All of those things are probably part of our general cultural atmosphere. But, individually in families, among friends, not necessarily so. You'll find yourself at home with your employer. You'll open up the local television. There's lots of panel shows, like they have all over the world discussing politics or whatever. And you'll see that people are talking very loudly, interfering one another, speaking at the same time. They're just communicating. It's a different communication style than you may be used to. So it takes time to get used to it, okay? And you're the stranger, so you have to do the effort to get used to all the different changes in our culture. Let's talk a little bit about nonverbal communication. We all know how important that is. Along with the 4 communication styles, there is also the nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is a way in which people can transfer information between them without the use of words from the written, spoken, or written or sign language. Nonverbal communication is expressed in facial expressions, body language, clasped hands, indicate closure, tone of voice, physical gestures, standing, and touching. So we all know that, our body, whether we're aware of it or not, transfers all kinds of information about ourselves, about what we're feeling, what mood we are. Sometimes we say a person has a poker face. That means he's not expressing anything and we can't know what he wants, right? What he's thinking. But usually, if we don't have a poker face, we do express what we're feeling and what we're thinking. And it's very, very small nuances, right? Sometimes in your family, someone give you a look, means 100 words. You don't need to hear anything more, right? So learning all of those gestures and body and facial movements that people have in the specific family that you're in is learning another language all on its own, right? In addition to Hebrew or some other spoken language in the culture, it's all about body language as well. And I also want to say that it's very important that, like I said before, that you learn as much as possible about your employer, but also know what are the things that make him respond. positively. What are the smells that make him feel good? Does he like to be touched? He doesn't like to be touched. What music does he like to make him feel comfortable and safe? What sounds, outside make him feel discomfortable? All those little things of creating an atmosphere of security and safe and comfort are part of well-being. And that is, in general, your responsibility as well, right? And we all know that mind and body are one. And so when someone is feeling stressed or anxious, you already know much about him so that you can try to change the mood or make him feel less stressed or more comfortable, okay? All of those things are very, very important to learn, and they are part of the tools that you put in your toolbox, right, when you go to work. Tools for effective communication. Very important, active listening, okay? So what's active listening? Active listening is not just hearing the words, but trying to understand what it is that your employer or someone that you're communicating with is trying to say. And one of the best ways to communicate, to be an active listener, is to repeat what the other person is saying. Okay, very often when we're in a conversation, we're hearing what the other person is saying, but we're very busy thinking of what you're going to respond, what you're going to say in return. But in this situation, we don't want to think about what we're going to say. We want to concentrate on what they're trying to say, what they're trying to communicate. And so the best way to do that, not to make assumptions, not to make judgments, but to use reflection, okay? I understand that you said so and so. I understand that you feel this way. Right? When you repeat a person's words, they feel that there is an affirmation to their communication, okay? Very important to do that, to be an active listener. And empathy. Empathy is very important, right? Try to empathize with your patient, even if you don't agree with him, okay? He may have difficulty, stress, feelings of discomfort, or happiness, okay? You may agree or disagree with what's going on in his head or his body. Doesn't matter. Being empathetic is part of our profession. And of course, the I message. When you talk about your opinion and thoughts, always use the I message. Very important. Okay? There are no absolute truths in these issues. Usually, it's your opinion, it's his opinion. Okay? And it's a process of getting to know each other. He has to learn to trust you, to know you, right? And you the same with them. Very important, okay? The process of getting to know each other. More tools for effective communication. Patience. 5 stars next to patient. Be very patient with your employer and his family. The situation is new to them, and it takes time to get to know each other. And of course, you must be patient with yourself. Okay, you're going to make mistakes. It's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. You must be tolerant. Okay, even if you don't agree with your patient, try to accept his opinion. Okay, very important. And all that is part of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication, when talking to a patient, maintain eye contact. We keep emphasizing that. Try to speak at eye level. What does that mean, to speak at eye level? Firstly, not to talk about you don't know better, you don't know more, even if you think you do. Try to understand that your employer, even if he's disabled and behaving improperly or in ways that are unacceptable, he's not a child, even though he may seem that way. You don't want to scold him. You don't want to punish him. He knows where he's been, okay? This is something that he's not in control of. So it's an issue that you must learn to deal with in a respectful way, okay? Not talking down to your employer. Also very important in the sense, in a physical way. If they're sitting, sit. If they're laying down, be at eye level with them. It's very uncomfortable, when someone is overbearing on top of you, right? Trying to feed you, clothe you, bathe you, do anything at all in terms of communication with you. Very important. Try to speak at eye level, relax your speech, calm your tone, and also communicate in slow, concise, simple sentences and simple messages. Very important, okay? So everyone, I invite you If you would like to participate or ask questions or comment about anything that I've spoken so far or anything else that's on your mind that you're concerned about, what is your communication style? What, in your opinion, is the best communication style? What can you do if your patient's communication style is difficult to handle or he doesn't speak at all any language, if at all a language that you already know? Which concerns do you have about your patient's communication? Anyone like to comment or ask? Hi. Go ahead.
Hello,
Who, is that
ma'am.
you? Hi. What's on your mind?
I'm Maria Cristina again.
Maria Cristina, right. I don't see your name for a minute. I forgot. Go ahead, Maria
I
Cristina.
think, ma'am, the best communication is eye-to-eye contact. Then, because through eye-to-eye contact, it will show your patient your sincerity. You are sincere through eye-to-eye contact. Then, don't ask your patient a question one after another. If you ask a question, you need to give your patient a time to answer, and don't force him. If she will not answer you, don't force him, or just just show that you smile to her always, and you just tell them it's okay. It's okay if you not answer, just okay.
Okay, wow, that's very, very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just being presented with a question or with a situation that a person has to respond is very respectful. That's very true, very important, very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, ma'am, it's like if we put ourselves to other person's shoe, we don't know. It's very hard for them. That's why we need a lot of perseverance and patience.
Okay, absolutely. You're right. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Maria Cristina, I like your name. Anyone else have something they'd like to share or ask?
Can I add, ma'am?
Hi.
Hello,
Tell us your name again.
Erickson Manuel, ma'am.
Erickson. Okay. Hi.
Aside from eye-to-eye contact, we need to learn how to listen from the patient. Learn to understand their needs. We need to understand their likes and dislikes. Communication is a building style to create a trust in what it's one another, and we need also a compassionate care with the patient, so that we can understand their needs. And of course, the building process of this communication style is to love them, to create love for the patient. That's all, ma'am.
Wow, that's quite a lot. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Allowing yourself to love your employer or your patient is a wonderful way to deal with his difficulties. And if a person feels that he's actually being cherished, loved, cared for in a real way, that makes his life feel much more worthwhile, obviously. Okay, so wow, your employer is going to be very lucky to have you with that kind of an attitude. That's wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. Would anyone else like to comment about communication? Does anyone know that they're going to be living in a home where your employer does not speak English, where they don't speak English? Everyone knows a little bit of English in the homes you're going to be working with? Maria Cristina, would you like to share where you're going to be working and what city?
Ma'am, I will be assigned in, I think, in Haruf Central 2.
Haruf, I'm not sure where would that be.
Harufi? Ano siya?
Okay.
Arubi, maybe it's the name of the street.
Yeah, Harufi is the name of the street, ma'am.
All right. And do you know which city?
Central to Haifa.
In
Haifa.
Haifa. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So my patient in my contract, the language that my patient is I think English, Hebrew, and Yiddish.
And Yiddish. Oh, okay. So do you know? Okay.
What is
so
Yiddish, ma'am?
What is Yiddish? Okay, I'll
ma'am.
just say it's kind of a dialect of Jewish people that speak it all over Western Europe, Eastern Western Europe, and it's a language that's kind of like I don't know about a slang or a dialect very similar to German, but because
Whoa.
Jewish people lived in in East and Western Europe for many centuries, and they moved around from one country to the next, and so this is a common language between them, and very often it's spoken in families that have immigrated from Eastern or Western European countries, and elder people still speak it. Young people, not so much, unless they're in a very ultra religious community, then it is used again. But usually in in more modern, non-religious communities, Yiddish is mostly spoken by elder immigrants.
Yeah, it sounds like challenging, ma'am.
It's going to be challenging, yes.
Yes,
So you'll
ma'am.
be
Yes,
learning
ma'am.
Yiddish as well as Hebrew.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, I'm happy
two
for that.
languages.
Yes, yeah.
Looking forward.
Okay. Anyone else want to share where they're going to be working? What city?
Ma'am, where is this Akko?
Akko?
Yes, ma'am.
Akko. Okay, Akko. Not too far from Haifa. And does your
about half an hour north to Haifa. It's on the coastline, and it's very pretty. It's
very
beautiful.
historical, right?
Yes.
Integrated
very
community of
pretty.
Arabs and Jews with a lot of history, a lot of ancient history, beautiful harbor, tourist
Mm.
Oh, wow.
attraction.
Wow, that's very exciting. I'm looking
Yes,
forward to go
absolutely.
there anyway.
very interesting.
Yes.
So many
Okay.
people goes to Akko for vacation, and
Mhm.
it is beautiful and holy, and it will be interesting
Yeah.
and flat,
Yeah.
so it's easy to walk
Oh,
around.
yes. Yes. Oh,
Wow.
thank you, ma'am.
And does the family that you're going to be working for speak English? Do you know?
Yes, ma'am. He speak English and Hebrew only, ma'am. English
Okay,
and
good.
Hebrew.
Okay, so you'll have an opportunity to learn Hebrew. Very important, people. Make an effort to learn Hebrew, not only to communicate with the people in the family, but also to communicate outside of the family. You want to know about your
Yes, ma'am.
surroundings.
Yes.
You'll go out, you'll make friends, you'll meet people.
Yes.
Very important. Most people, younger people, like everywhere else in Europe and in the world today, English is considered an international language, and you'll
Yeah.
find that people speak English. And of course, Israel is a country that encourages tourism. So most people, are friendly and will assist you if you're looking
Yeah.
or in need of something. Let me teach you something that's very important in terms of body language. And we use our body in Israel in many different gestures. So if you cup your fingers like this, okay, exactly, and you wave your hand up and down, you say rega, rega, that means a moment, be patient, wait, please. So, and if you add a smile, that's it. So if you go like this, rega, rega, let's everybody do that. Rega, rega. All right, exactly.
Just a minute,
Okay.
please.
It means just a minute, patience. Okay, everyone. So let's continue. Okay, here is another, exactly, you're doing it perfectly well. Here's another YouTube presentation that you can look at your own time. And here are 10 tips on communicating with elderly. Communicating with elderly may be different than communicating with young people. So worthwhile looking at, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about step number 2. Okay, step number 2 in building a relationship, coordination of expectations, very important. When starting a new job and starting a new relationship, each side has expectations, hopes, and concerns. Try to have an open conversation with your patient and his family about their needs and expectations. It's important that you also express your needs and expectations. Try to be honest and open and willing to learn. I just want to say something about expectations. Sometimes people have unrealistic expectations, right? From a new employer or from an employment situation. Okay, we expect perhaps to be a part of the family and they don't need someone else in the family. They got plenty of people to deal with in the family. They just want your assistance and your help and your good work. Or the opposite, right? Someone is very lonely. Perhaps they wanted to be the husband they lost, the wife, the sister, the daughter. People have expectations that sometimes they're not aware of in terms of their interpersonal emotional ways. About and also may have expectations that are unrealistic in terms of, oh, now they're going to have a caregiver living in the home. They're going to do the job of 6 people that did that before them. They're going to do this and that and the other. Obviously, that's not possible either. So it's a process, not just about the contract, about what needs to be done in terms of caring for the person, cooking, cleaning, bathing, providing medical assistance and other things. But, sometimes the job may seem overwhelming. And and I said before, very important to allow yourself and your employer the process of adjustment, okay? Once they know how wonderful you are, so maybe you're not such a terrific cook. Okay, no big deal. You make do with what you can make. So I'm saying that it's a process. Maybe you're such a terrific cook, they don't care that you know how to iron. I mean, it's like every other kind of relationship. Not everyone is wonderful at everything, but it's a process, okay? And when we're generally very pleased with what we have, then the other things become a little less important. But I do want to stress one thing. If there is something that is very missing from your needs, not enough sleep, not enough food, not the right food, not the timing, whatever, time for yourself. If there's something definitely very missing from your entire situation, this is something that needs to be talked about, okay? Waiting patiently for it to change without you talking to someone about it probably won't change. So you must ask your employer, what's not appropriate for you, what you're not happy with, and allow them the time to change it or find a way to change things that you'll make you more comfortable or will be more pleasant to you. But you must talk about things that are not appropriate for you, okay? And then give them the opportunity to change it, okay? Sometimes we can't perceive ahead of time what would or would not be possible or appropriate, okay? Very important. Try to be honest and open and willing to learn, okay? So I must say that your employers are not undergoing an orientation program like this, okay? They don't have the opportunity to talk and to think about what it's going to be like and what changes they need to make and so on. And they're in a disposition where they're in a crisis. They don't have the energy. And, for them, everything is an effort, and adjusting to you is even a bigger effort. So it is your responsibility to make a bigger adjustment and a bigger effort in this interaction and coordination of expectations. Along their way, there may be changes in the patient's or your expectations and needs, right? Time will bring changes, okay? And it's okay as long as you speak about it. If you maintain good communication, you can always talk again openly about your patient, his expectations, and your expectations, and re-coordinate the expectations. Step number 3, building trust. Okay, we all know how important trust is in any kind of a relationship. And if we lose trust, very often it's very difficult, if impossible, to regain trust. Trust is the basis of any relationship, and especially the relationship with the patient. Okay, let's talk about what's involved in trust. Reliability, sincerity, integrity, consistency, commitment, and competence. All of those things make up trust, but let's talk a little bit more about each one of those elements. So, what is trust? Trust is one's willingness to be vulnerable to another based on the confidence that the other has goodwill, is trustworthy component, honest, and openness. Okay? Trust is very important. And in order to feel that you can trust someone, very often you are vulnerable. Okay? You're vulnerable because you're in a strange country, you're in a stranger's home, and so much of everything about you, your happiness, your well-being, is in there. You're vulnerable to them, and they also feel vulnerable to you, right? This is the lowest point in their life. They're disabled, they need assistance in every part of their life, and they need to trust you for that. Okay, it's a shared belief that you can trust someone to achieve a common goal, and the common goal is the well-being of your employer, right? And this is your common goal. At the base of trust, there are many elements. Respect for others, very important, right? You have to respect your employer and he must respect you. Sincerity, very important, okay? You must be honest and open and sincere about what you say, what you think, okay? Something goes wrong, you must come forward and talk about it and explain. It's all about being to having integrity, saying what you mean and meaning what you say, and of course being open. If something is not right, you come forward, you talk about it. Being reliable is very important as well, right? You trust a person to be there for you, to provide food and medicine and to be clean, and the family will have to trust you to do those things for them, right? And consistency. I want to talk about how important consistency is in everyone's life, especially in a disabled person's life, where his health and everything in his life has been compromised. So everybody feels very comfortable and safe in their own routine. So it's very important that you understand and learn your employer's routine, okay? The routine of the household. When they do things, how they do things, where he likes to sit, what he likes to do first, what he likes to do second. Everybody has a routine in the morning, right? You get up, you do this, you wash your hands, you brush your teeth, whatever. So it's very important to understand your employer's routine from the minute he wakes up to the minute he goes to bed. Okay, and also during the night. When a person does his routine, that makes him feel safe and comfortable. Okay, and what's one of the most important things, we want our employer to feel safe and comfortable. And commitment, okay, you've made this big commitment to come from a different country, to care, to be a worker. You want to do a good job, that's obvious, but relaying that commitment is also part of building the trust relationship. More ingredients of trust: a willingness to be vulnerable, okay? That you're not a macho, your willingness to be vulnerable. They can see that you're also in a difficult situation, missing your home, missing your family. Everything is different, everything is strange. Your body is responding, your microbiome, the water is different, the energy is different, the light outside is different. Everything takes adjusting to. A sense of security that the trust recipient will meet his expectations. Very important to building trust, right? They have to feel that you're going to be there for them when they need you. Okay. Reliability, the connection between predictability and goodwill and honesty. Can't talk too much about honesty, right? The fit between statement and action. You know, having a stranger at home is very, you know, people know how to respond to a guest, how to respond to family members, how to respond to neighbors, what to expect from them. But this is a completely different kind of a situation. And if you have never been a caregiver that lives in a home of the person that you're caring for, it's very difficult, right? There are boundaries that must be set within yourself and amongst yourself. Where do you sit in the evening? What do? Do you watch television with them? Can you sit in your room? Do they have to look at you? Can they see you all day long? Do you have to see them all day long? All of these things are, small things, very important things, things that need to be communicated and also developed in terms of trust. Okay. They don't have to see you to know that you're all right. You're not stealing. They may test you. They may put things, to see if you're doing the right way, the wrong way. Can you be trusted? It's a process of the interaction. Okay. So it's also building a relationship that no one, if they haven't had a caregiver before, I mean, even if they haven't had you before. So it's a very personalized kind of boundaries of what yes, what's no, what's maybe not today, maybe in another week. Okay, all of those things like a dance, 2 steps forward, 1 backward, and so on. Reciprocity, treating the others as we would like to be treated ourselves. I think this is a sentence that, wherever you go, you have to take it in your heart. Treat people the way you want to be treated, and most likely it'll all be good. Okay, shouldn't be going wrong with that kind of an intention. So, how to build trust and a trusting relationship with your patient? More effective tools. Remember that your patient opens his most private space for you, his home, and like you, he has concerns, expectations, and hopes from this relationship. Give trust and trust yourself. And trust the patient and trust the process of getting to know each other. If you trust the others, they will trust you. Always tell the truth. If something bothers you, don't keep it inside. Try to talk about it. Okay, very important. Very important to talk about things that bother you. I want to tell you that I had a friend whose mother had a caregiver living in her home for a whole year. And one day the lady said, okay, I don't want to work here anymore. And they said, why? We thought everything was so good for you. And she said, no, I don't have enough heat. I don't have enough food. I don't have enough whatever. I don't have this. I don't have that. They said, well, you didn't say anything for a whole year. How could we know? How could we change things for you if you didn't say? So maybe we change it now and you'll stay. No, I don't have any patience. I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to go someplace else. So this is the kind of an impasse. If something bothers you, as I said before, talk about it, okay? Explain what your needs are, okay? Very important, very important. Don't wait a year to tell them what's wrong. Tell them what's wrong, give them an opportunity to try to make it better, okay? Very important. Step number 4 in creating the caregiving alliance, okay? The caregiving alliance consists of 3 essential components. Agreeing on the task, okay, the caregiving task. So what are the tasks? Doing the washing, doing the cleaning, doing the bathing, perhaps taking care of the garden, perhaps driving your employer, perhaps going to get medicine, doing shopping, maybe not, all of those things that need to be done as part of your routine. make a schedule, okay? What needs to be done every day, what needs to be done once a week, what needs to be done once a month, so that you don't run out of food, you don't run out of medicine, you don't, right? All of those things, you make a schedule of what you do and how to do it the best you can. Agreeing on the goals of the care, also very important, right? The goals of the care is to maintain your employer's well-being. Okay, that's very obvious. But then again, okay, does what does those goals mean? What does it mean to be a well, keep maintain his well-being? I would suggest that, not entirely knowing anything about your employer, but being the way that we're communicating here, everyone, through the internet, through the social media, through all of these activities that are now so prevalent since Corona and, everything else. This is a way that you're going to be interacting with your friends, your family, your perhaps your social groups, perhaps your interests, right? If you want to learn something, you'll do it on the internet. If you want to join a karaoke group or an exercise group or a prayer group, you can also do it through the internet. And I would assume that your employer, being elderly and disabled, perhaps isn't so savvy in using all of these implements and enhancing his life. So if your goal is to care for your employer, perhaps part of it is also to facilitating those interactions with him. Try to find out, is there like a WhatsApp or a Viber group in the family? Be proactive in communicating. We had a good day, we needed this, it turned out okay, the neighbor came by, whatever. Be proactive in giving a report to the family so that they feel a closeness to you. And then when you need their assistance in something, they'll be part of the communication of the caregiving that you're doing. Very important. Find out who are the family members, who are the children, who are the grandchildren, are they on Facebook, are they on Viber? Once a week, perhaps, you make the call. Grandma wants to say hello. If you wait for the grandchildren to call, maybe they won't. But this way, initiating this kind of interaction, trying to find out if they had any previous interest. Corona has changed so many people's lives. Everyone on the globe, his life has changed because of Corona. And especially people that are, disabled have become more introverted, more insecure, more isolated, and distanced from family and friends and activities that perhaps were part of their life in the past. So try to assist them in maintaining that kind of atmosphere of activity, okay? And I'm sure that will enhance their well-being, as well as giving them food and medicine and so on, right? Mind and body are all one. And of course, developing a personal relationship consisting of mutual positive feelings, trust, and good communication. I think this is a very important part. We talked about loving your employer, feeling that, that you're part of his life. When a person feels that he's very alone, his life feels that there's no, it's not worthwhile. And so even connecting with you as a worthwhile individual will enhance his well-being. And so it's very important that you also present yourself on a personal level, right? Talk about yourself, share about your family, your friends, all of your experiences. This is a very important way to interact, and hopefully your life will be enhanced from his life experiences, and perhaps his will also be enhanced by your life experiences. Okay, very important. The caregiving alliance is usually determined at the beginning of a relationship between the caregiver and the patient, and constitutes the primary infrastructure for the relationship between them. Such a contract gives stability to the caregiving relationship and a sense of mutual responsibility and partnership. Okay. So it's very important that you're open and direct and honest and straightforward from the beginning. Okay. and you present yourself in a real way. The fact that you're stressed, you're a stranger, if they're immigrants, they know all about it. They've been in that kind of a situation before, right? Most families that live in Israel are immigrants from some place or another. So being a stranger in a strange country is an experience that they would very much know all about. I want to say that, if you have hobbies of your own, if you like to dance, to pray, to meditate, try to maintain that. It's very important that you maintain your own strength, right? Like I said before, you have to be a strong person, not just to withstand difficult situations, because you need your strength, right? And so it's very important that you do all of those things that charge your batteries. Very important, okay? Taking into account social and cultural components. This is the fifth and last step that I want to talk about important steps in creating relationships. Part of the Caregiving Alliance is taking into consideration social and cultural components. You and your patient come from different cultures, and you have different language, lifestyles, customs, preferences, and beliefs. It's okay to express your preference and to keep your customs, but it's better to talk about it and with your patient and reach an agreement. Try to take into account culture, values, customs, traditions with your patients. This includes food preferences, daily routine, and habits. I want to understand again that being such a stranger, Christian, I don't know if you've ever encountered Jewish families in your past or Israelis in your past, but they're not, for them, sometimes things may seem, oh, how does she not know that? How does he not understand that? But it's your responsibility to ask questions. They need to teach you, that's true. But again, you must ask the questions and present the situation that you don't know, okay? And then they'll know that you don't know, right? And teach you what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, and so on and so forth. Again, you must take the initiative in asking questions and in understanding situations. Don't be shy, okay? Don't make assumptions that you understood. Make sure you ask again and again to make sure that you understood what they're trying to say or have you do for them. Okay, it's a long process. You got to be very patient with yourself and with the process. Okay, very important. Again, I invite you, if you'd like to discuss or share, ask questions. This is the time that you can speak out loud, think out loud. What do you think is the most complex step in forming a relationship, of course? What do you think is the easiest step? And do you have any concerns about any of these steps in terms of forming a relationship? I want to go back to the first slide and and put all the steps that I spoke about before. Okay. Creating good communication, coordination of expectations, building trust, creating the Caregiving Alliance, and taking into account social and cultural components. Would anyone like to share, question, or comment, or something they're thinking about? Please do. Anyone at all? Anat, is there anything you'd like to ask or add?
I like to give everyone another chance to talk about before we will talk about next week, tomorrow, next week.
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Manuel, there is something you'd like to talk about, to add? I see that you're going over it.
Okay.
And
So
I
today, hi. Okay. Did you
Hello,
want to say something?
I can value the long-term relationship with the patient is one more thing to develop a relationship with the patient. Vulnerable, be honest, and be open to the patient. And of course,
Ma'am, I think creating good communication, because building trust is it's a long process. It's not like in one night to build trust. So maybe you need to be open, always communicate to your patient and also to the family. Always ask if you don't know. Ask your patient or the family. Then don't like in expectation. We are nobody's perfect, so try to show your best. Don't always say that like we are not perfect. So every one of us, we have our weakness. So just be patient, and also one like there in taking into account in social, always respect one another. Respect your patient, their family, their culture. If they want to respect you also, and like if they want to treat you the same you want to treat me.
Exactly. So nice. Thank you for summing all of that up. Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you,
you, ma'am.
Maria
Thank you,
Cristina.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I just want to say that, yeah, it's a difficult job. We all know that we put our heart and soul, and even though we get paid, even still, it's a very difficult job, especially because it's a 24-hour kind of a care responsibility.
Yes,
And
yes,
so
ma'am.
very important to learn to put our own boundaries there. Okay. Very important when your time is on, when your time is off. Okay.
Mm.
And to negotiate that you have a right to have off time as well. Okay. Enough sleep time, enough time for your family, for your friends, and for
Yeah.
yourself. Okay. I sometimes hear a friend of mine telling me about how her mother complains, oh, the caregiver is sitting in the living room and she doesn't do anything. I mean, what do you want her to do? Everything is clean and cooked and prepared. And, it's not, it's okay not to do anything if this is, a checklist of all the things that needed to be done.
Yeah.
So it's again coordination of expectations. Where do you sit when you're not doing something in the living room, in the garden, in your room? All those little nuances of living in the place that you're working, because it's your home as well now. Those borders of on and off time, very important to coordinate it with respect for each other's, for respect for each other's privacy. Okay, for each other's privacy. Thank you very much, Maria Cristina, for that. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Anat, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen? Today's Purim. It's a holiday. Tomorrow is Friday. More holidays. Shabbat. Okay. Everyone is going to be deployed, or are you going to be available?
You may not know yet. All right, ladies. So we will not meet tomorrow. Next time we will meet on Sunday at 2:00. And tomorrow, well, later today, I will send more recorded session and the recording of our meeting. Besides that, tomorrow I will send more recorded sessions for you to have something to read for the weekend. And like I said, we will meet on Sunday at 2 o'clock. I will send the link tomorrow. Okay, so have a wonderful weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Manuel and Christy.
Thank you very much for your cooperation and for your participation. I enjoyed meeting you all, and we will come together again on this
On
next
Sunday.
presentation on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend, and I hope it all goes wonderfully for you if you're going to be meeting your employers within the next day or two.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye. Best of luck to everyone. Behatzlacha.
you.
We say in Ivrit, Behatzlacha. Behatzlacha means be successful.
Ano yun?
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.